Thank you for coming back and joining us. We will get started in just a few minutes.
Zoom threw me out. Okay, hi everybody. Okay, welcome to the Home Improvement Frauds and Scams webinar. I think we're ready to start. We were going to start at 1:02, but I think we're all ready to start now, Miss Sally.
Yes.
All right. So
Can everybody see the screen?
sharing her screen. There she is. Okay, so this webinar is brought to you by Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, nice long name, DFPI, and Contractors State Licensing Board, CSLB, hosted by Office of Senator Scott Wilk. Next slide, please. And that is our lovely flyer, which I'm sure all of you saw. So just a bit of housekeeping. I am Donna Hill, District Director for Senator Scott Wilk for District 21, which is Santa Clarita all the way to Victor Valley. This webinar is being recorded. All cameras have been turned off and mics muted. Please hold all questions until the Q&A portion and place them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. We may not be able to answer all your questions today, but we will get to you. We are also monitoring your chat box, so if you come up with a question that you just can't hold on to, throw it in the chat box. We'll see if we can get to it. A copy of the slides will be emailed to attendees after the webinar, and here is my contact information, which we will repeat at the end of the webinar. The next slide, please. So this, as I mentioned earlier, is being hosted by Senator Scott Wilk. He is 21st Senate District Senator for California State Senate. There we go. He is also the minority leader. He represents this area. He has represented this area since 2012. He hails from a working class family, and he focuses mainly on policy to promote economic growth. Senator has been tireless in his effort to support the community through COVID-19 pandemic and recent wildfires. He supported legislation to bring more medical professionals to the front line, pressuring the governor to address problems at EDD, ensuring school kids don't go hungry, and helping people stay in their homes. Scott was elected Senate Republican leader in January 2021 and currently serves as a member of the Senate Committee on Governmental Organizations and Transportation. He didn't want to be here today, but unfortunately his schedule didn't allow, so you have me instead. Next slide, please. Today's speakers, here we go. This is my test for the day. So Kevin Duraway, from CSLB. I've been practicing the name for the last week. Miss Sally Westlake from DFPI, and Miss Jackie Wiley from DFPI. And I think we're going to start with Kevin, correct? Take it away.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you to everyone at Senator Wilk's office for this opportunity, and also thank you to our lovely partners at DFPI. My name is Kevin Duraway from Contractor State License Board. I'm an Information Officer 1 with CSLB, or Contractor State License Board. I've been with CSLB for about 3.5 years. So CSLB, we protect California consumers. We're a consumer protection agency, and we do that by licensing nearly 300,000 construction contractors in 45 different classifications across the state. Classifications are things like concrete, fencing, general B for building homes. Those are some examples. Next slide, please. So we're here to talk to you today, CSLB, and we run these things called Senior Scam Stoppers. You might have seen them, and we participate in these events like this one to raise awareness among seniors, because unfortunately, unlicensed individuals, they do target older adults. Part of the reason why is older adults are trusting, which makes them a little more vulnerable. The unlicensed individuals that we see at CSLB, they will try to manipulate older adults and try to establish connections with them. So you might see an unlicensed individual come to your door and try to strike up a conversation with you and make a connection with you and say, oh, your grandson goes to Laguna Creek High School. My neighbor's kid goes to Laguna Creek High School. They have a great baseball team this year. They'll try to make those connections with you to try to scam you. And scammers are attracted to older adults' life savings and pensions, which is really why they're targeted. Next slide, please. So some of the biggest scams we see at CSLB involve those unlicensed individuals asking for an unusually large down payment for home improvement projects. This is very important to note. In California, the down payment must be no more than 10% or $1,000, whatever's less. If they're asking for more money up front, that's a huge red flag that you should not be working with this contractor. Next slide, please. Other common scams we see involving older adults and unlicensed individuals, they involve door-to-door sales, which often includes pressure and scare tactics. So you might get a knock on your door from someone offering you a free home inspection. It sounds like a great deal. You let them inside. They start to look around your home and find all these kind of problems you never noticed before, like cracks in the wall or a leaky faucet. Then they try to pressure you into handling these repairs themselves, and most of the time asking you for a lot of money up front. The problem is you don't know if this individual is even licensed to do the work, and you also don't know what kind of experience they have. So it's good to recognize that, and don't even let them in the door. Ask them politely to leave their information on your doorstep and grab it later, and that way you can check their information and confirm that they're licensed with CSLB. Other common scams include verbal agreements. The prices of materials, they will constantly change during a home improvement project. We all know this. It's important to get that in writing and make those changes in what's called a change order on a contract in writing. And never pay any kind of contractor in cash. You want to always pay with a written check. It's good to pay with a written check and save a copy of that check so you have proof of payment, and you're always protected. Next slide, please. So what can you do if you've been scammed? Well, please call CSLB. Our phone number is 1-800-321-CSLB or 2752. You can also file a complaint on our website, cslb.ca.gov, and click the File a Complaint button. You should know that older adults have 4 years from the date of their construction project to file a complaint. And you should also know that there's a 5-day right to cancel a contract. If you do think you've fallen victim to one of those pressure tactics, you can cancel a contract within 5 days. And that's older adults ages 65 and older in the state of California. That's a relatively new law. Next slide, please. So why should you use a licensed contractor? Well, licensed contractors, they pass trade and law exams and they undergo background checks. So you're getting the background check and you know that they're had the experience to pass these law and trade exams. And they must have 4 years of experience in the past 10 years to even apply for a license with CSLB. So you know they have the experience. They're also required to hold $15,000 bonds, which adds to your consumer protection. They also must hold workers' compensation insurance if they have employees. This is very important because it covers worker injuries. If you hire a contractor that has employees and they do not have workers' compensation insurance, if one of those employees gets hurt on the job, you, the consumer, may be held liable for their injuries. So it's important to make sure that you're hiring a contractor with workers' compensation insurance if they have employees. Next slide, please. You get greater consumer protection when you hire a licensed contractor, and CSLB can always step in and help you with negotiation, mediation, and arbitration involving a contractor. It's also important to know that California law requires licensed contractors for any home improvement job that costs $500 or more. With the high price of materials nowadays, $500, it does not take a lot to reach that threshold. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to hire a licensed contractor using the CSLB website or other resources. Next slide, please. So there are easy ways to find a contractor. You can get the recommendations from friends and family and check their license number on our website, cslb.ca.gov. Once you type in their license number, you'll get an individual web page with all the information you need to know on that contractor, including their business information, their license status. You want to make sure their license is active. And also if they have any disclosable complaints, that will also be listed on this website. It also will list the classifications that this contractor holds a license in, any bonding information, and whether or not they hold workers' compensation insurance. Next slide, please. I want to quickly touch on solar because we have seen a rise in solar complaints here at CSLB. If you're considering a solar project, you want to consider really how much longer are you going to be living in your home? You want to be living in your home for at least another 5 years to even consider if solar is right for you. You also want to consider which direction your roof is pointing and whether your roof is obstructed by any kind of power lines or trees that can impact the benefit of solar to you. You also want to do the math with solar. And when I say do the math, I want you to look at your monthly utility statements, find out how much money you'd be saving on those statements using solar, and then look at the price of the solar system, how much it's going to cost that all this job to put on your roof, and figure out when are you going to break even? When are you going to actually start saving money? It's something very important to consider before you consider a solar project. Next slide, please. Some reminders when you're dealing with a solar project. Solar is not free, no matter what the salesperson tells you. It is not a free project. You also want to use a lot of caution with financing programs like PACE, Hero, Chief, or Real loans. Oftentimes, these pack heavy interest rates that are tied to your property taxes. So you sign up for one of these loans, 2 years down the line, your property taxes double, maybe even triple. You can't afford to pay them, and you may end up having to foreclose on your home. So you want to be very cautious when you're signing up for using any of those kind of programs. Next slide, please. You want to protect yourself, whether you're dealing with a solar contractor or any contractor. Make sure you have control over your payments. Get everything in writing in the form of a contract. When you're hiring a solar contractor, they should provide you a financing estimate and disclosure document. It's usually a one sheet, the top page of the booklet you'll get, which clearly will spell out the amount it costs for the solar system. You also want to read the contract carefully before you sign any kind of contract. When you're dealing with a solar contractor or any contractor, sit with a friend and family member, look over the contract for 24 hours before you sign anything, read all that fine print. Next slide, please. You always want to protect yourself. Hire licensed contractors using the Find My Licensed Contractor tool on cslb.ca.gov. So if you go to our website and you click on the button that says Find My Licensed Contractor, you can put in your zip code, and from a drop-down menu, choose what type of contractor you're looking for, and you'll get a nice list that you can print out or download of licensed contractors in your area who are willing to work with you and get your project going. You also want to check the license on our website. If you're getting a recommendation from a friend or family member, get the contractor's license number, go to cslb.ca.gov, put in that license number, and check the license. Make sure that the license is active. Make sure there's no disclosable complaints that raise a red flag for you. And of course, if you're not really good on the web, you want to just do all this by phone, you can call us 1-800-321-CSLB or 2752 to get all this information. Some important tips to remember when you're hiring a contractor: the down payment must be no more than 10% or $1,000, whatever's less. Again, it's a big red flag if they're asking you for more than 10% or $1,000 for a home improvement project. Another tip is never let the payments get ahead of the work. Money is your best leverage when you're dealing with a contractor. So you want to make sure you have something in there called progress payments in your contract. You don't want to give the contractor more than half the money until half the work is done. And you never want to give the contractor the final payment until you're completely satisfied with the work they've done. Next slide, please. Again, my name is Kevin Durway with Contractor State License Board. We'll be taking questions at the end. And if you ever want to contact CSLB, you can call us at 1-800-321-CSLB or 2752. You can also email us social@cslb.ca.gov. I'll be answering your questions in the chat if you have any CSLB related questions, and we'll take questions at the end. For now, I'd like to turn it over to DFBI's Sally Westlake to continue our seminar today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Sally Westlake, and I am DFPI's Targeted Outreach Specialist for the State Central Valley region. I started my career in state service 19 years ago, and for the last 15 years, I've been part of outreach teams educating consumers, older adults, in the insurance and financial services industry. First, I'd like to start by introducing everyone to the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, or DFPI for short, and also formally the Department of Business Oversight. Our mission is to help protect consumers from abusive, deceptive, and unlawful practices of financial transactions. We are California's licensing and regulatory agency with oversight of state financial institutions, products, and professionals. like California chartered banks, credit unions, financial lenders, mortgage loan servicers, debt collectors, investment advisors, payday lenders, and many more. And so a full list is available on our website at www.dfpi.ca.gov. We also enforce the laws and regulation of the financial institutions that we regulate. We conduct audits to ensure compliance, investigate consumer complaints of financial abuse and fraud, and pursue legal actions against those operating illegally or are using unlawful, deceptive, or abusive business practices. Our goal with the outreach team is to increase awareness so to protect consumers from predatory businesses that are engaging in deceptive practices, to help protect consumers from falling prey to frauds and scams. If a consumer suspects that they've been a victim of a fraud or scam, or has a question as to the validity of a professional they're thinking about doing business with, please call our call center. Our live call center is amazing and can help with wait times under 5 minutes. We also offer translation services and can direct folks to the right agency if we're not it. So please call us at 866-275-2677, or you can email us at ask.dfpi@dfpi.ca.gov, and we'll go ahead and provide the phone number and links and email address later on as well, and also in the chat. So during the pandemic and moving forward, Californians are increasingly making home improvements. So we've heard from Kevin about how and why it's important to use a licensed contractor. I want to talk about different ways you can fund those home improvements you might be considering. Many homeowners now have significant equity in their homes due to soaring home prices. So let's take a look at some statistics. Nearly 80% of older adults age 65 plus own their homes, and the average home equity for the senior homeowner age 65 plus is about $143,500. Homeowners age 62 and older collectively own $9.2 trillion in home equity wealth. Well, so why is this important? This brings up the term house rich and cash poor. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard this before. House rich, cash poor is when a homeowner has untapped equity in their property, but is unwilling or unable to withdraw it. At the same time, their lifestyle, spending, or personal debt grows at an unsustainable rate. Home equity is only usable wealth if you sell your home and downsize or borrow against that equity. With the cost of living going up, inflation, higher gas prices, higher food prices, and many being on fixed income, you may not have many options to budget any more than you currently are doing. So homeowners may have to consider financing options to take out some equity, some cash from their homes for maybe home repairs or improvements. Or it may be to meet monthly expenses because of rising costs like in food and gas, or to create or replenish their emergency fund. Or maybe it's to fund a nice travel vacation. Let's look at some ways you can pull out equity or financing options. So homeowners can obtain equity from their home by obtaining a traditional mortgage. It can be a second or a first, depending on what you currently owe or may not owe. Or it could be a home equity credit line, like a HELOC, or even by a reverse mortgage if you're over the age of 62. As state regulators of financial lenders and mortgage loan servicers, we want you first to verify with us that the lender and mortgage loan servicer is properly licensed with us. Know who it is you're going to be doing business with. You can always check on our website or again, call our customer service center. Again, if you are or have considered refinancing your home to pull out the equity from your home, please call us before you sign any documents. Let's look at some common abusive practices that a homeowner may encounter when looking at financing options. Aggressive solicitation, and this can be by phone, mail, text, door hangers, and they're consistently contacting you, leaving you messages over and over again. And building a fake rapport. If they get you to answer the phone or answer the door, they quickly work to build rapport, just like Kevin mentioned, talking about, oh yeah, my son goes to this high school, just like your son does, and just building fake rapport. They might even also downplaying the value of the home. And this is common from real estate wholesalers, like those ads you see for We Buy Homes, We Buy Ugly Homes, things like that. They're called wholesalers, and you can see their flyers on telephone poles or maybe on even TV ads. They can also overstate the downside of working with a professional like a realtor. They say, oh no, you don't want to pay those high fees, high commissions, closing costs. But do not sign any contracts that you do not understand or feel you're pressured to sign today. Remember, if a deal is good today, then it'll be good tomorrow. Then you had the opportunity to discuss it with a family member, a trusted advisor, or a friend before you get carried away and sign that contract. Because in some cases, if you sign a contract and later change your mind, these fraudsters, some of these wholesalers can sue you to enforce that contract. If you want to make home improvements, there are financing options. Just as Kevin mentioned some of them, I mentioned just regular options, and then Jackie up next is going to talk about other financing options as well. Jackie, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Sally, and thank you all who are on the line today and joining us for this webinar. My name is Jackie Wiley, and I am also one of the targeted outreach specialists with the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, DFPI for short. I have over 25 years of state service, and since 2001, I began dedicating my work in the community, presenting on financial literacy topics to inform seniors on recognizing the warning signs of financial, investment, mortgage foreclosure, frauds, and scams, while also empowering consumers of all ages to make informed financial decisions. I service the Los Angeles County region. So since I've been out there for a very long time, I'm seeing and I hear from audience members, and I learn a lot as I do these presentations as well. Next slide, Sally. So the PACE program, many of you may not even know what that means, but as of January 1, 2019, the DFPI began licensing PACE program administrators, and they're called PAs for short, and we regulate the PACE industry. A PACE solicitor is an organization authorized by a program administrator to solicit a property owner to enter into the PACE financing agreement. Typically, a PACE solicitor is a contractor licensed by Kevin's department, the Contractor State License Board. The solicitor agent is an individual employed or retained by or acting on behalf of the solicitor to solicit you to enter into the financing agreement. Typically, a PACE solicitor agent whom we regulate and license is a home improvement salesperson registered again with the Contractor State License Board. So we see people are doing a lot of home improvements, which can be expensive. And these are a couple of government programs. Kevin mentioned them earlier, PACE, HERO, REAL, in case you're not able to put the money out upright. PACE is the one that I'm going to talk about since we hear about that and we regulate that industry. Sally, next slide, please. So what is PACE? It stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy, and it's a program to provide homeowners help in financing installation of energy efficient and water saving improvements to their property. I like to repeat that. Energy efficient and water saving improvements. And why I stress that is because we find that consumers are getting coaxed into other improvements which have nothing to do with the PACE program. So the solicitors misrepresent, they are enticing, they're coaxing homeowners for other installations. And unfortunately, it's a misunderstanding of the financing program altogether. And this is what we are seeing. Next slide, please. So it's very, very important to educate yourself before you make a commitment. One of the misrepresentations that we're hearing about has been and continues to be represented is the cost of the project or the repayment of the loan, which is being misrepresented. Many consumers are not under the impression that it's a loan until they get further educated. So you're getting ahead of the game by being here today. And what the solicitation sounds like is claiming no money down or no out-of-pocket costs, which of course gives the impression that all the services will be free. So what that sounds like, free, but it has to be paid some way, right? So the second, homeowners must pay the funding through their annual property taxes. It is not a free government program as it's being solicited, okay? So with the omission of this information, many have entered into the financing agreement and now are struggling with property tax payments because it has doubled and some tripled, and they're at risk of losing their homes. So I love this picture because we also find that there has been work that has been incomplete. The third bullet here talks about the coaxing that's not applicable and not energy efficient. Don't allow the contractor to come in and start looking around and saying, oh, wow, have you ever thought about offering you granite countertops, new cabinets? These are not applicable to the program. Why? Because they're not energy efficient or water saving products. Granite countertops and cabinets don't apply. So don't allow the contractor to coax you into doing something other than an energy efficient, which is storm door. Maybe you're going to get windows, the upgraded windows. Those are energy efficient, low flushing toilets, things like that, okay? Left with incomplete and unpermitted work. Oh my goodness, we're seeing so much of that again because people are not understanding the risks when they believe that this is a free government program. And when the pandemic first arose, a lot of homeowners, and they still are, doing ADUs, which are additional dwelling units. Maybe you're turning your garage into a small apartment to rent out, and it was it's a great idea for extra income, but not if this happens, not if the contractor A is not licensed through Contractor State License Board and or the lender is not licensed through us. So it's very, very important that you do your homework and make sure that you read your contract and put everything in writing so you don't end up with a contractor leaving the job and your property looks like this picture here, incomplete. Next slide, please. Also, inappropriate use of signature, and this can commit identity theft and forgery. So how sometimes you're doing something and they say sign on the electronic device. Well, you haven't really even looked at the contract. You don't even know what it's saying, and you're just signing. So please remember to ask for a printed copy. With these electronic devices, you don't see all that you need to see. And there has been instances where a contractor may say, don't worry about it, we'll fill out the rest for you. Never leave anything blank. Number two, a contractor not verifying whether the homeowner has the ability to pay. The law says the contractor should verify your information and your income. If I'm on a fixed income and now my property taxes have doubled, how am I going to pay for this improvement? So within the law that we established through the SB, I can't remember the Senate bill, but the contractor should be making a phone call to verify your income before you sign that contract. And reverse mortgages, we see people taking out reverse mortgages for home improvements for a PACE loan. If you're doing a reverse mortgage, mostly to supplement income or some of the things that Sally named earlier, don't allow someone to steer you into doing the improvements if that was not your primary intention from the first place. This is why it's very important to do your homework by contacting the DFPI to learn about the risks and the laws and to get answers to many other common questions that you may have before you sign the contract. Next slide, please. So protect yourself. Again, do your homework and verify. Be sure you check the license of both the contractor and the lender. Okay, you do that by contacting the Contractor State License Board, like Kevin said earlier, and to verify the license, come to our website, the DFPI, and get the information there. And also to get more information on the risk and the laws, we have a great section about PACE where you can see frequently asked questions. So educate yourself first before you sign that contract. Next slide, please. And so how can the DFPI help you? How can you contact us? If you were unfamiliar with us today, take a picture of this slide. Here is our website. We host a lot of helpful resources and information. You can call the toll-free number that Sally mentioned earlier, and it's also noted here. We have live in-person representatives. We have access to dozens of translation languages with little wait times and no immigration status acts. So when you call the toll-free number, because you're going to call before you sign anything by doing your homework, they can help verify the licensing status of a financial institution, a service or professional, or that PACE administrator that you're thinking about doing business with before you engage. If you find that you have been a victim of financial fraud, you can call our toll center and they can help walk you through filing a complaint against one of the industries that we actually license. And if it's not who we license, don't worry. Send the complaint to us anyway. We will get it to the correct regulator of a federal or financial institution that will handle the complaint. If you have a simple question, email us at the email that you see here, Ask DFPI. And for outreach in all publications, they are all free and come in English and in Spanish, and we do have other languages upcoming. Why don't you ask for one of our Protect Yourself from Fraud booklets? It's a wonderful book. It also encompasses a resource guide, because a lot of times we don't know who to call pertaining to our situations. And please stay in touch with us. Contact us, of course, through social media, but even further than that, we have a monthly newsletter through our communications department, and it provides consumer alerts on frauds and scams, and it can help consumers stay in the loop with relevant state and federal news. So sign up to our Consumer Connection newsletter today by going to our website. And of course, you can always follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Donna, back to you.
And here I am. Hi, everybody. So that was awesome. That was a whole lot of information. And our chat has been quite lively, but Kevin is on the job. One thing I do want to mention, first of all, I want to thank all our speakers. We have a few minutes left for Q&A, but Cynthia Chambers' hand has been up. I know, Kevin, you have been speaking to her through chat, but I'm going to allow her to talk real quick because I put her hand down, she put it back up. I'm thinking maybe she has something to say. So Cynthia, I'm going to allow you to speak. Have you got something exciting for us to talk? You're going to have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm concerned about getting solar panels next month. I heard that there was a problem at the state level with electric companies not giving you full credit for the solar electricity from solar panels that you're selling to the electricity company. I want to know where that is, when and where that will be happening, so that I'm trying to decide whether to get solar now for my home.
I don't know that. I'll have to look that up. I know there was some concern about I think it was called Diablo Canyons, which was another source of energy, and it got really convoluted that we weren't going to give credit for solar, but I would have to look that up. So Cynthia, if you could, I'm going to give you my information. That's better because this is a live forum. Let me give you my information and you can reach out to my office and I will look it up for you.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, I'm going to type it in your chat. Just give me a couple seconds. All right, let's see who else is. Let's meet Miss Cynthia, and All right, let's see who's we've got. Okay, we've got Susan. I think Susan has been answered. There's Cynthia. We've got Carrie Gurman. Can multiple copies of this publication be requested? I'm not sure what we're talking about. You mean Kevin, do you mean the deck that was just presented? If
Yeah.
so, if that's what you mean, then I'm sure you can print as many as you like. Sally's going to send that out to all the participants.
Yes.
So have at it.
After the event, you'll get a link, a recording of the webinar, as well as PDF file of all the presenters' PowerPoint slides. So feel free to go ahead and share that with your friends, neighbors, if they need it. And if you'd like to, if you're also maybe talking about the Protect Yourself from Fraud booklet that Jackie mentioned, they are free. And if you would like more than one copy, we'd be happy to mail it to you. If you belong to an organization, you can also request multiple copies as well as a presentation from DFPI. I hope that answered your question.
And just to add to that, maybe Donna, I can send a box to your office and they can request from there, and they can
Absolutely.
do that as well. And
Send
that's
me a
how we
box.
can do that. Mhm.
It'll be like Christmas.
I don't see anything in the chat because it says chat disabled.
Well, you probably don't see anything because I haven't typed anything yet. I've been running my mouth. Give me a second.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Let's see. We got multiple. Let's see. Leslie Simmons says, where's the best place to find licensed contractors or workers like electricians? Do you recommend a service like Angie's List? While you're answering that, let me type my information.
Leslie, that's a great question. I really encourage you to head to cslb.ca.gov and use our Find My Licensed Contractor feature on our website. You simply just put in your zip code or your city of residence and choose what type of contractor you're looking for. So if you're looking for electricians, you can just choose that from the drop-down menu, and you'll get a nice printable or downloadable list of contractors in your area willing to work with you on your project, and they're all licensed because it's up-to-date information right from our licensing website. So I would definitely use that over a service like Angie's List. We have had problems with people who have hired contractors from Angie's List. They've turned out to be unlicensed. So it's better to go right to the source, cslb.ca.gov.
All right, and we've got one more, Carrie Gurman. Can we, City of Palmdale, share the information presented here as part of our presentations?
Yes.
I'm guessing that's a yes. And I can also give you their contact information, and you can call them and talk to them and get your own presentation. But I'm sure you can share that one as well.
Yes.
Yeah. We share here at Senator Wilkes' office. Let's see. Leslie, she says, thanks. Lou is interested in the question regarding the credit back from Edison from overproduction for solar panels. Interested in the question regarding the credit back from overproduction, hold on, from solar panels.
That's not a question.
That's not a question.
Answer.
Yeah. That might be the same as the question that Cynthia's looking for. So let me stick my information in there and you can contact me. We will have someone look into that. Paste. All right. And there we are. And Mary just put her name in there. So Mary, okay. there we go. Okay, how do you get out or change a hero loan?
Oh.
Kevin, you want to take that?
That's a good question. I am not familiar with the answer to that at all, how to get out of a hero loan. If it's part of the contract, you should be able to get out of the contract. You have a 5-day right to cancel if you are over the age of 65. If not, that's another question. You may want to consider contacting a local attorney's office for help with that. but that would be my guess. You can also email me your contact information, social@cslb.ca.gov, and I'll make sure to talk with my experts here at CSLB and get back to you.
And I'll add to that, you can also send the question to our outreach at dfpi.ca.gov, and I can funnel it over to the unit that handles PACE. Maybe they can help answer that as well.
And I would like to add to that by saying, call your lender on that HERO loan and talk to them about what you want to achieve, what you're trying to do with that HERO loan, why you want to get out of it, what, you know, what's wrong with it, if anything, and start from there as well, besides contacting us and CSLB for help.
I see a hand up here. Anderson wants to speak. Hold on, let me unmute. Anderson, you are live. Unmute yourself and go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is regarding taxes. I had solar panels put in last August of 2021, and the contractor didn't give me anything to report to the IRS. What documentations am I required to receive from the contractor so I can show to the IRS?
That's a great question, Anderson. You'll have to email me your contact information, social@cslb.ca.gov, and I'll have to look into that for you. That's a very specific question, and it may have to deal with also the California Public Utility Commission, because we work with them, that agency, quite a bit on solar. So I'll put the email address in the chat.
Okay, just one other thing. When I saw my tax preparer earlier this year in February, she indicated that what you report to the IRS is not the total amount of the cost for the work and the equipment. She said you're only supposed to report the amount for the equipment. And as of today, I haven't gotten anything.
Again, I would just email me all of your information and I'll try to get follow-up response to you. Unfortunately, that is not my area of expertise, and I'll find someone who is an expert in this situation and get back to you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. I don't see any more hands. Let's see if there's anybody else popped into the, oh, there's another question here. Susan Templeton says, so if the company is not willing to give time to verify, then changes are at fraud. Okay, if the company is not willing to give time to verify, then changes are it is fraud. I'm not quite sure.
I think she might be saying chances are it's a fraud. If the company is not willing to, I personally wouldn't want to do business with them, Susan. That's first and foremost. But again, go to our website and then you can arm yourself with the information. So if you have someone come in, at least you can say, hey, by law, the DFPI states you're supposed to verify that I can, you know, that my income allows me to purchase this. So that's what my answer would be for that.
Good job. You guys are mind readers. Okay, let's see. That was Susan. Oh, here we go. There's a Cynthia Irwin here. Several times last year, I had guys coming by my door trying to sell solar and trying to tie it to some utility company / government rebate. Question mark. I have no interest in it and assume it was some hook they were using, but curious if you know if these are legit.
We spoke about, go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say, Cindy, this is exactly the kind of thing we were talking about. The door-to-door salespersons. Unfortunately, older adults, they're very polite. They love to answer the door and talk with whoever's at their door, and that's when the salespersons can kind of take advantage of you. What I would encourage you to do, and I've had to do this myself, I've had a door-to-door salesman selling me solar as well, so it happens to all of us, is I would just politely decline through your door, don't even unlock your door, and ask them to leave their information on your doorstep. Later, you can gather that information and look for a CSLB license number on their information. If you're not seeing one, chances are they're not licensed and you do not want to be getting into a solar situation with them.
Very good. Great question. And yes, like Kevin said, we all get those door-to-door salesmen. But if you show any interest, they will be back. They will follow up and continue to knock on your door. So the best thing I would suggest is say, I'm not interested. That's it, and walk away. Don't open the door. Through the door, say, I'm not interested, and physically walk away. Because if you're still standing at the door, they will say, well, but wait, I have one more question. And they will continue, right? But if I'm interested in solar, I would, first of all, ask my neighbors who has solar and say, hey, what company did you use? What contractor did you like? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? And then go with Kevin's agency, check their license, other contractor, right? And then look at rebates. And if you're using something like PACE, then you need to come to us and check the financing, lender information there. Okay, but again, door-to-door salespeople, I'm not interested. That's all I gotta say.
And added to that, those who call you. I just got a call right before the webinar today. And so I answered it, and the guy I said, who is this? And he was like, hey, Miss Wiley.
I know, they kill me with
He
that.
knew me. And I was saying, who is this? And so he's like, yeah, we're doing a lot of work in your neighborhood. First of all, no, he's not, because I don't see any of my neighbors getting any work done. And so, he just kept on saying, do you have anything? We're really good workers. And I just said, no, thank you. And I just hung up. You know what I mean? So the phone also, same. Get your references, go to your references, your referrals.
All right. Susan asked, is there a government website that talks about solar and the rebates they give? I feel like there is. Is there?
I would start with your, if you're with Southern California Edison,
Yeah.
check with, your utility company. And as Kevin mentioned, California Public Utilities, CPUC website as well, and see what's available at this current time.
Yeah. And you can always reach out to us. We've got a lovely lady, caseworker, who will dig around and try and find some stuff out for you as well. Let's see, any new questions? Oh, there's a question. We've got a couple minutes. Okay. So some of the questions on the pre-list you sent me, let's see. If English is not my first language, can I request the PACE contract to be in my language?
Yes, you can. Yes, they should be able to accommodate the language that you speak.
Okay. I came up with a question. So you guys told us what programs we shouldn't be using. What for solar and construction, not construction, but for solar, what type of programs are best for solar? PACE, I know if I talk to Jackie, but but are there any other programs that you actually work well that you know of?
We just encourage consumers to make the most educated decision they can, and that usually involves getting multiple bids for one project.
Okay.
It wasn't included in today's slides, but we encourage all consumers to get at least 3 bids for every home improvement project. That really gives you a price guide of your project and gives you a snapshot of what the market is looking like for your project, so you can make a more informed decision. You don't want to just, always go to Walmart because Walmart's got the best deal on everything. I found better prices at Target or Amazon sometimes than Walmart. So you want to comparison shop a little bit, right? Especially with something expensive like a solar project. That'd be my advice.
So we should basically treat solar just like any other home improvement project.
Well, I would even be more cautious with solar because it's such an expensive home improvement project. I would definitely be getting multiple bids, making sure you're working with licensed contractors, finding the licensed contractors through the cslb.ca.gov website, and use extra caution when you're looking at those financing programs.
Okay, we've got a question here. Oh, Jackie's answering it. So I'll call it out for everyone else. They wanted to know if PACE had an income limit. Let's see, I lost it. Yeah, I think Jackie is answering it, but do you want to answer it for the group?
I'm not sure what the income limit would be if there is one, and I want to go to my notes really quick to tell you what the Senate bill is. The Senate Bill 1284 may be able to answer that for you. And then, of course, you can ask that question at ax@dfpi.ca.gov, and then they'll get it over to the appropriate unit to answer that for you.
So I think what's important for everyone to understand is that there are programs, government programs, financing programs for home improvements like PACE when it comes to making energy efficient improvements to your home. It is not a cookie cut program, not right for what's right for me isn't going to be right for Donna or for Kevin. What's important to know though, when considering any of these financing options is that you do your research and make sure that you're able to pay it back. Okay, that's what's important because they're not free government programs. You get some rebates here, some delayed, financing here, but eventually some or most have to be paid back. And so it's important to note that you understand that you can pay this back because like Kevin said, it is a large purchase.
Looks like we've got time for a couple more. We've got Patrick who's asking, are there any programs that provide solar for low income homeowners?
That would be the PACE program.
Yeah.
That would be something like that. But again, it is tied to, it's marketed to low income people because you don't have to make a down payment.
Right.
Right. But it's again tied later on to your property taxes.
Yeah.
And which can skyrocket in 2 years.
Yeah.
Time frame.
That can be substantial. So you got to watch that.
And if they're misrepresenting the product by omitting that information, you all are armed with knowing that that is where the payment goes, where the money goes. It goes to your property taxes. So just keep these things in mind, but do your research, like Sally said.
Cynthia is asking, how do we know when permits are required? I always want stuff done by the book, but sometimes I hear permits are not needed.
Cindy, you're not going to like my response to this, but my answer is you have to contact your local permitting office because every county or every local municipality's permitting office is different. So you need to contact them and find out for sure if a permit is required. If a permit is required, make sure your contractor is pulling the permit. If the contractor is trying to get you to pull the permit, they're trying to get you to enter into what's called an owner-builder situation where you're ultimately responsible when things go wrong. You do not want that. It's on the contractor. You're hiring them to do the job. They have to pull the permits. Okay.
Yeah. And just an FYI, I've noticed a lot of times contractors will tell you there's no permit needed. So yeah, so do your due diligence and check on that. All right, I see no more questions. I see no more hands. I think we might be done. I want to thank you guys for coming out. Thank you everyone for participating to get this awesome information. I want to thank Sally, Kevin, and Miss Jackie for taking their time. They took more than this time, but to get this together, and we appreciate you. And we appreciate all the work that you do for our constituents out there. This is our contact information. There's a lot of it there, but this page is also included in the deck that you'll get. So it'll all be there. I threw my information in the chat a couple times. If you have any questions, concerns, anything, reach out and we can try and help. All righty.
Kevin said he was going to leave something in the chat or give his information. I don't see it.
Kevin, put your information in there. I know it's on one of the slides, but yeah, you're going to stick it in there, Kevin? Yeah, there it is. There's Kevin.
That's the best email address for us right there. social@cslb.ca.gov.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, everybody, are we set and ready to roll? I want everybody to have a happy rest of their day. And thank you for spending this hour with us. Oh, wait a minute. I see something that popped in real quick. Oh, everybody says you're wonderful. There we go. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed day.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you for a great job.
All right, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.